Well, today we're going to be talking about liquidity in Magic the Gathering singles. Well, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Kitchen Table TCG. My name is Louie, and I hope you're having yourself a fantastic day. I hope you're gearing up for the holidays. We will be here hopefully every day with some content for you. But today I want to talk and have a discussion on Magic the Gathering liquidity and singles, and kind of conversation about cards and selling and buying cards. Essentially, we're going to be talking about TCG Player. I do have a TCG Player affiliate link in the description of this video that does help the channel out a ton, but we do a bunch of business on TCG Player in moving singles. We probably ship out anywhere between, depending on everything comes in waves, right? So like we'll have a weekend, like this past weekend we probably bought $12,000 worth of Magic and Pokemon cards. It was crazy. And then we'll go a couple days without anything, and then we'll have a whole nother wave. But we usually go, I would say, averages between 100 and 150 orders a day on TCG Player, and cards sold and kind of moving through stuff. So I feel like I have gained a pretty good understanding of what is liquid in Magic the Gathering, and the vast majority of that is Magic, also Pokemon, but probably 70% is Magic. But I've gained a pretty good understanding of what is really liquid in Magic the Gathering, and what is some stuff that kind of sticks around. It's a little more sticky. I want to have a conversation about that because I think it's really important to anybody who is considering buying singles and doing this as a hobby business, or even just like moving their own collection to fund another part of the hobby, which is something I'm a big proponent of. I do believe that this hobby of trading card games is so unique and perfect because you can utilize the hobby itself to fund itself. You don't have to take money from your family and that kind of thing. You can actually use the cards to propel yourself forward in the hobby, and that's a really unique attribute of this hobby. So anyway, we are always buying singles. This is something that is really important to understand with this whole philosophy on liquidity and cards, is that you have to have a flowing gate in, and you have to have a flowing gate out. You have to have a wide door to enter your house, and you have to have a wide exit as well. And so we are always buying singles. I never say no. I never ever say no to buying cards when they come into the store, or when you reach out to me at KitchenTableTCG@gmail.com. I never say no. I always try to make a deal that works for both people. I always try to make sure that we are saying yes, and we have the capital in order to buy cards, because the more cards you buy, the more you can move out. And so it's really important. But I've seen a lot of people basically say no to cards under $5 or cards under $10, and that has not been my philosophy. In fact, the point of this video, and the reason I wanted to make this video, is I believe that the highest liquidity in Magic the Gathering, in other words, the easiest money to be made, the easiest opportunity, the lowest cost of opportunity, the easiest money to be made is within singles of $2 to $10. From $2 to $10, that is where the easy money is made. It's very rare that I list a card for $8 and I see it on my inventory 3 weeks later. The liquidity for cards in that range is so rapid and so fast selling that it provides a ton of cash flow through the system. And honestly, not a lot of people want to deal with those cards because here's the deal. They take work. It takes work to ship out 100 cards a day or 150 cards a day or whatever it is. It takes work to ship the $2 to $10 cards. In fact, TCG Player has this direct program, and we just got in it, and then we got out of it really quick because I saw the amount of money that they were taking in the $2 to $10 range was completely deteriorating our profits as a business. It just didn't work. It was more effective, more efficient, more cost effective for me to pay somebody to be shipping out those cards and to spend the extra time work. Maybe it's an extra 20 hours of work a week or whatever, but it was saving us a lot of money compared to the TCG Direct fees. But TCG Direct sees this, and they're saying, man, we can make a lot of money by taking and doing the work for people, because people are inherently lazy and they don't want to do the work. And so I think that's like one of the big things that people say, hey, I'm not going to buy cards under $10 on Facebook or on whatever because it takes too much work to sell those cards. But in my experience, Those cards are the fastest moving cards, and it's the easiest form of cash flow in the Magic the Gathering singles game. Now, don't get me wrong, high-end cards, reserve-list cards are super important. Those kind of higher-end singles are really important to this game of, buying and selling and trading cards, because they are a really good storage of money and a good storage of wealth. I'm not telling you to like put your life savings into it, but as a singles retailer, as somebody who buys and sells cards, I have no problem sitting and putting a Gaia's Cradle in my shelf and having it there for people to look at, because it's not going to deteriorate in value. The reserve list, unless they go out and reprint the reserve list, it's not going to drop like some of these other ones. Now, so that is $2 to $10 cards, and then we're talking about like the high-end reserve list stuff that you can store money in and that kind of thing. That's a whole nother game. But the risk factor of cards like, I don't know, like a Liliana the Veil box topper. I'm just grabbing this one off. A beautiful card, by the way. Absolutely amazing card. The risk factor for cards like this are significant because of reprints. So it's kind of a game you have to play. The $2 to $10 cards, you're getting them in, you're getting them out. The higher end, like $50 cards that are reprint prone, those kinds of cards, like you really want to make sure your inventory is not a ton of that stuff, because you can get completely hosed on reprint. So this is where pricing comes into line, and this is the next section I want to talk about. We price our cards to move, like, we'll kind of scale it. Like if we are having a slow month, I'll lower our price to TCG low and just clear out a bunch of cards. It just moves through, gets my employees something to do, kind of moves through cards. But if we are having a busier month and it's like, oh man, I got to scale back a little bit on the amount of time shipping, I'll raise our prices to like market price plus 10 cents or something like that. By doing that, you are guaranteeing, you're assuring yourself that you don't sit on a bunch of stuff like this that is reprint prone, and that can just get kind of abused by the reprint stuff. So that's kind of my philosophy. I see $2 to $10 cards is really easy to move. I'm not afraid of them, whatever. I see those kind of higher end cards as a way to store money. I don't put high end cards on my TCG player account. All that stuff stays locally. And then when I get extra cards, when I have too many Gaia's Cradles or too many dual lands, that's when I personally get on Facebook and I sell cards kind of in the open marketplace, or eBay, kind of that kind of thing. I just think like with TCG player, without seeing photos and that kind of stuff, it just doesn't work in our like flow. But for me, that's how I work there. And then the higher end cards, like the modern stables, that kind of stuff, commander, higher end stuff, I want to see those moving out. I don't want to be sitting on a bunch of them because of the reprint. Now, what does this mean for you? If you're somebody that is thinking about or interested in buying and selling cards, what does it mean for you? Well, number one, you have to, in my opinion, this is all my opinion, and let me know where I'm wrong in the comment section, but in my opinion, if you're going to buy and sell Magic the Gathering cards, you have to have an efficient, effective way of moving cards between $2 and $10. You have to come up with a system for yourself that allows you to move those cards efficiently and effectively, so it doesn't take up a metric ton of time. And there are ways to do this. I've done a couple videos on the channel. Maybe it's time for an update, which is like how we pack our singles, how we move cards, that we can move through 100 orders in 3 or 4 hours. Like there's ways to do it that are efficient and effective that go a long way. But you need to have that. Now, whether you're doing 100 orders a day or 10 orders a day, it's still efficient. It still makes it more sense. If you're going to do this, you have to be efficient. Number two is you have to be able to take risks to purchase for cash flow. When a card comes in, or when a opportunity to buy cards comes in, you can't say no. You have to take risks here, and it's got to be educated risks. You're buying cards below market price, right? You got to make a profit on. So whether that's 60% or 50% or 70%, whatever works for you and your ecosystem, your community, you got to be efficient and buy it. But you also have to take the risks so you have cash flow to move things out. And you have to be willing to sell stuff too. Man, there's so many people I talk to about this that get caught with their pants down because they keep too many cards. Like at some point, yeah, this can be a thing that funds your commander decks and that kind of stuff. But if you're spending more money than you're bringing in, at some point, it's just not going to work for you. So you have to purchase for cash flow. And then the last thing is this, and this is the big one. I think everybody gets wrong, or a lot of people get wrong. You can't be afraid of risk. Like, you can't be afraid of risk. As long as you're not afraid of work, you can't be afraid of risk. If you're not afraid of work, then you're able to risk because you can work through almost anything. The biggest thing I've learned on this YouTube channel, the biggest thing I've learned through making videos for you guys and running the business, running the store, the biggest thing I've learned is that no matter how much you fail, no matter how much you screw up, no matter how much things don't go your way, no matter how much risk you take that falls in your face, no matter what, if you work hard, you can work through it. And so if you don't have to be afraid of risk as long as you're not afraid of hard work. So let me know about this in the comment section. Let me know what you think about all this. Let me know where you think the biggest risks are in selling singles. Let me know what your philosophies are on what you price your cards out, what you buy your cards at. And if you're looking to sell collections, hit me up at KitchenTableTCG@gmail.com. I hope you have yourself a great day. Have a great weekend. Have a great holiday. Remember to be kind to the people around you. We'll see you again next video.